Factset versus IGT. So just to run down the picks once again, Kennen, Tarek, Draven, Sejuani, Jace for IGT, and then let's see, Diana, Misfortune, Fiddlesticks, Thresh, and Renekton for Factset. So I don't know. I mean, we've seen. I just have to point this out there. I've seen a lot of Factset come out during Season 3, and they're actually a pretty decently strong team. Just in general, their bottom lane is actually really it's one to look out for. If anything, if anyone on the team was sort of the lane to watch out for, or the big sort of playmaker, I gotta say for Factset, for me, it's bottom lane. Sort of every time something happens with this team, bottom lane is doing something completely off the wall and separate, but it works out really well for their composition. It's a team that knows how to play together and knows how to work together. Now, this isn't to say that IGT is going to have, they're not going to win. They could absolutely take this. I mean, these teams are not actually that far apart in that skill level. And so we're going to see how this one turns out. I mean, the composition alone from IGT is actually a little bit, I don't want to say more, I don't want to say better. It's just more cohesive in this scenario. You've got the Sejuani ult, you've got the Kennen ult, you've got Jace, and you've got Draven to be able to do a lot of damage from a little bit further away, and then you've got Tarek, who's going to be able to get in, shatter everyone's armor, do increase the amount of damage that his entire team does. And it's going to be really good. I mean, the only really big deal is that Fiddlesticks. If you are not careful and that Fiddlesticks ult catches you off a wall, out of a bush or by surprise completely, they could very easily lose that fight. So it's all going to be down to how things go. So let's run down the players and looks like what they're going to be doing. So up in the top right corner, we've got Factset with Quaker Oats playing Diana mid lane, Zazimash playing that AD carry, Misfortune, and then it looks like Dragon Ball Z playing that jungle Fiddlesticks, as well as Suja playing that top lane Renekton, and last but not least, Extendo Hugs is going to be that bottom lane support Thresh. It looks like, though, IGT down here on the bottom side in the blue team might actually be going for a delayed invade. They'd have their entire team here. And Thresh looks like he might actually be going to ward. If he actually places it just right, he actually drops the lantern down on top of that entire team. So they may or may not know if that may not give vision here. I'm not actually sure. They could still actually go for this. Pings are going down, and it looks like they're backing out. So no, IGT in the bottom left corner on the blue side is going to be playing Choop, as this looks like mid lane Kennen's I Am Smash Face is going to be that support Tarek. Meanwhile, up in the down in the bottom lane with that AD carry, we've got B-Boy Suicide playing that Draven for that. Viralios is going to be jungle Sejuani, and then last but not least, Corey Pro up in the top side with that Jace. So, actually, Jace is going to get back to lane really late here. He actually looks like he's going to miss a few minions, and this is... I gotta say, that's going to be kind of a big deal, especially this early on against someone like Renekton. You do not want to get caught out, in those early levels. You do not want to lose that sort of advantage that you could have, because it looks like Renekton should be able to hit level 2 before Jace does, and actually Renekton started off with a red elixir as well, so that's going to give him a lot of extra health, a lot of extra attack damage, and just a general sort of laning phase advantage, unless Jace can turn something around here. But he's got to be pretty safe. So he's just actually having to stay kind of back a little bit. There he goes. He hits level 2. But he is taking a little bit of harass from Jace. And I think he's just waiting until level 3 to get a combo off. Yeah, it looks like he took his Q and his W. Meanwhile, Fiddlesticks, though, at level 3, 3 minutes into the game, has now picked up both the red and the blue buff. So it looks like he got a smiteless leash from this bottom lane. Meanwhile, down at bottom, kind of trading this back and forth. No one's really making any huge, glaring problems. Sejuani looks like she was trying to gank up at that top lane, but I think she expected a ward had gone down. Dragon Ball Z here at his own race, though completely unaware of this Sejuani. She could be working this out. So she's going here to try to maybe steal or do something in his own jungle. The big problem is, though, is that Fiddlesticks has actually already completely cleared it out. Meanwhile, up at the top there, once again, the lane is actually pushing into Corey Pro's favor. Now, kind of the big deal, though, is that when we saw Corey Pro actually, like, miss a few minions, and he didn't quite get to lane fast enough, there really wasn't a whole lot of punishment up in that top lane. Meanwhile, Extendo Hug's taking quite a bit of damage there from Draven. The hook tried to come out to land on him, but a minion did get in the way, and Dragon Ball Z was setting up for a gank onto that mid lane. But Kennen is a really, really slippery one. Using that electric or that lightning rush, he's really, really hard to get a hold of. Anyways, down at the bottom though, no one is really making any huge overextensions. They're not trying to make anything happen without, making sure they're pretty safe so far. CS is pretty even across the board. The only really big difference here, actually no, there's two. Mid lane you do have Kennen at 30 and Diana at 23. She can't really get close enough without sort of taking the damage and the harass there from Kennen. Meanwhile though, at bottom lane, Misfortune's at 30 and Draven's at 21. So it looks like he might actually be having a little bit of trouble here. Thresh is obviously doing pretty good at keeping them back, as well as the Misfortune harassment. Suja trying to get in on top of Jace. He actually slice and dikes his back out before Jace is able to hop on top of him. So that was a really, really good action there by Renekton. Meanwhile, at this mid lane, Quaker Oats having to back out 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Choop doing a really good job of keeping him there, though, and just harassing him down. So yeah, he's actually going to miss quite a bit here from this mid lane. It looks like Kennen is pretty easily holding this one off. Up at the top, Suja here, down to 1 health potion on top of his red elixir. Now, he does have that, so he can blow that at a moment's notice, but kind of the big deal is that now he really can't handle the harass. Now, it looks like Jace hasn't really had to use his own potions yet, and there's really not much that Renekton can kind of do. This is not a kind of position that you want to be in a Renekton lane versus something like Jace. That harass that he has is really, really hard to deal with, especially early on. Meanwhile, down at the bottom, Misfortune here pushing the lane up on top of this bottom lane. He's doing pretty good at keeping the control here down at the bottom lane. So 17 CS ahead on the bottom side, 12 in the middle from Kennen to Diana. Looks like she's trying to trade this one out. Now, Kennen did go back and buy a Hextech Revolver to get the stun off onto Diana. She has 2 Doran's rings, but they actually hit level 6 at just the right time. She's able to turn this one around. The Ignite takes off. The first blood goes to Quaker Oats in that mid lane on that Diana. 8,800 gold to 7,900. 7 minutes into the game, first blood finally come out, though Sejuani's heading up towards this middle lane, and Quaker Oats is still pushing this one up pretty hard, and it looks like she's just going to turn around and take the CS and leave this one back out. As Sejuani's not quite level 6 yet, so have to be really careful here. But yeah, Diana, when she went back and got those extra Doran's blades for the ability power, she was able to kind of out-trade this Kennen straight up and just sort of blowing everything and using it to her advantage. Meanwhile, Suja up at the top lane, out of health potions entirely, stuck on his own turret. Still has the red elixir, though, in case he absolutely needs it. But it looks like Jace here, although he is almost out of mana, he does have the 2 health potions still left, so he can take a little bit of harass in this one. Game is still going pretty quietly from both teams. No one wants to overextend just yet. Gotta be pretty careful. Taking a look though, Tarek now is still level 4 and Draven is at level 6 before Misfortune or Thresh even get there. So it looks like, I don't know, Draven actually hasn't backed. Just taking a look though. Misfortune though coming back to lane with an entire BF sword up on top of Draven. She does have 62 CS and he has 46. Actually, top lane though, Suja turned around, popping his red elixir and trying to get this one down using the burst. It's just not quite enough. CoreyPro though is completely out of mana, so he should still be able to make something happen here. This has got to be really careful though. He's able to lifesteal some of that health back. Back at the mid lane, Quaker Oats once again diving in on top of Kennen. I don't know if there's a lot that he's going to be able to do here. He does get a stun off, keeping himself alive just a little bit longer. He's going to have to back out, and this one is going to start to go into Diana's favor pretty quickly here. 57 CS on the mid lane to 53 to Diana. Meanwhile, down at bottom, Fiddle looks like he's trying to set up for a gank here. There's no one just yet. Lantern comes in from back. He does land the pull on top of Tarek. Fiddle actually ults over the wall and then flashes back onto it. And they do pick up a kill onto Tarek. That was a very, very good gank there by Fiddlesticks. He really wanted to set that one up. Now, he did... Let's put this out there. Thresh did toss back the lantern for Fiddle to hop onto. The only really big issue is that once Fiddle gets pulled in, he really can't ult at that point. So he ended up just ulting over the wall and then flashing to get close enough to do something here. I really think that maybe a combo could have been done with that lantern. But obviously, it still worked out pretty well, though. They were still able to get a kill with that. They were still able to establish pretty hard lane control. Misfortune, though, at 81 CS to 51 from Draven. She's got a nice 30 CS lead. Taking a look at the gold advantage, 2,900 to 2,300 there for Draven. So up the top lane, Suja comes back to lane with a Giant's Belt right now, and looks like Jace came back with a Brutalizer, and it looks like he's working towards either a Ninja Tabby or something, basically, for a little bit of armor out of this cloth. But it looks like actually Renekton comes back with another Elixir of Fortitude. Wow! I cannot control my words today. Quaker Oats getting hit by the ult from Sejuani, turns around, gets hit by the ult from Kennen, but it's just not quite enough. The Ignite is able to tick away and pick off the kill there, but ends up giving up her own life for that one as well. 3 kills to 1, 11 minutes into the game. Factset does have a little bit of an advantage. It looks like Suja might be heading down, though. No, he's just heading straight back up to top, trying to put the pressure on the other team, giving them an idea that he could very well leave, so they got to be pretty careful here. Sejuani looks like she could be heading up top for a gank, but a ward is going to spot this one out, so she's going to have to back. And Extendo Hugs does land a pull onto Draven down at the bottom lane. Misfortune here turns around, does a nice little unload, puts him down to about 500 health. Is not going to be quite enough to get a kill, though. He is going to have to back out and just kind of stay safe until he's high enough health to really actually stay in the lane. Meanwhile, though, Zazimash just kind of farming away, using that BF sword to his advantage. Pretty good picks here from this bottom lane. I do like the Misfortune Thresh combo, as that's a lot of harass, and it's still actually quite a bit of burst. Bottom lane, Fiddle setting up for a gank here, but that is warded out, and they are aware of that because Fiddlesticks just auto-attacked a minion on accident. But he was able to be spotted. So if any of you don't quite know yet, if you are in a bush and you have a ranged attack and you just stopping, not moving, you attack a minion, that does mean that they can see you and the bush is warded. So they were able to spot that one out, and Fiddle wasn't going to waste too much time down at the bottom lane. But Quaker Oats setting up here for a gank up at the top. Renekton's trying to push this one onto his turret without being a little too aggressive. Turns around, Diana's still up there. CoreyPro getting dived onto the top lane turret. Quaker Oats goes in for the kill, picks up one on top of Jace. Suja's still alive up here at the top. He did have to burn his red elixir, but Varalios actually ults onto the turret and flashes back forward to pick up a kill onto Suja. And they're able to work that one out. Quaker Oats still up at this top lane. Looks like he's just going to push pretty hard and sort of deny a little bit more to this Jace. Meanwhile, though, Kennen, the Choop back at mid, pushing this one up. He actually could do a pretty good chunk of damage to the turret. 4 kills to 2, 17,100 gold to 16,000 at this point in the game. Fiddlesticks looks like he's picking up his own blue buff right now, not quite giving it over to the Diana in that mid lane. Now, she does have the 2 Doran's rings, though, so she's able to get a lot of mana back just CSing in lane. So at least there's that one working out for her. The only really big deal is the cooldown reduction. But Fiddlesticks, with his ultimate being on such a long cooldown, and with his drain being able to keep it constantly up, it's actually not a bad idea to sort of just keep the blue buff on your own Fiddlesticks if your mid laner doesn't absolutely need it. Alright, so Choop and Diana back at the mid lane, kind of trading CS back and forth. Up at the top, once again, Renekton's just trying to engage something here. Now, he does have his red elixir on him still for another couple of minutes. So it looks like he wants to try to make something happen here, but Jace did come back to lane with a Ninja Tabby and another longsword, so he's got a lot of damage coming out. Suja, though, came back to lane with a Chain Vest and a Ruby Crystal, so he's got a lot of health and a lot of armor. He's not quite going for that whole armor penetration and the cooldown reduction that you see a lot of times in Renekton, where he tries to get a really, really early game advantage and does a lot of damage. He's actually going straight for health and armor, so he is filling the role of tank that the team needs. He's going to be able to get in into the middle of your team or into the back line of your team, and then, you know, control out the AD carry and who else he needs to. Suja, though, actually does know that Sejuani's here. She's able to hop over the wall. He's going to be able to stun her into place just a little bit long enough, but he actually is able to use a slice and dice through the Jace to get away just quick enough. Viralio's going to have to burn the ult to get him low and to get him there, but it looks like Suja's going to be able to flash out and stay alive under his own turret. Holy cow. He waited just long enough that his slice and dice would actually hit through one of the members, that he could use that dash twice rather than just waste it and get it out. I'm Smashface trying to engage onto Extendo Hugs here. He does toss the lantern into that back bush. Fiddle starts to come forward, but it looks like they're going to back out before anything really major is going to happen. It was actually a pretty good play there by IGT. They were far enough back and they were doing enough damage to Thresh to where if they were just careful and not getting hit out by the Fiddlesticks, they were doing pretty good there. But Fiddlesticks looks like he might be taking the dragon. Quaker Oats picks up another kill onto Choop mid lane, and Viralios there just to clear that one out. Looks like Diana's gonna head down and help Fiddlesticks with this dragon. There it is. All 4 members bottom lane are now taking the dragon, and Draven and Taric are stuck under their own turret. Kind of, no one's really able to shut this down quite yet. And there it is. First dragon of the game goes to Factset. 16 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, 22,000 gold to 19,700. 5 kills to 2. It's a really exciting game so far. I mean, it's not exactly action-packed and constantly going. The biggest deal, though, is just that each team is looking for small opportunities to get an advantage, and it looks like they're taking him. It looks like they're making it happen. See, like Suja up here at the top lane is trying to do some damage and get Corey Pro down. Corey Pro is actually completely out of mana right now, as he did not get that tier first. He went straight for the armor penetration and the cooldown reduction. So he's running out of mana pretty quickly. Stun goes down to Zazumash down at the bottom lane, but nothing's quite able to work that one out just yet. Dragon Ball Z was setting up for a gank up at the top, but I believe the ward is still a little bit too far down. I think they just expected Fiddlesticks up there at the top lane. Meanwhile, here comes Sejuani into gank the Renekton, but he's able to slice and dice his way out. He actually goes back in, completely avoids the ultimate there from Sejuani, so she's gonna have to burn that and back out. As it's as without that ult, they're not going to be able to catch that Renekton. Meanwhile, down at the bottom, B-Boy Suicide getting picked up by by Zazumash, and another kill down there at the bottom lane onto Misfortune. And it looks like they're probably just going to be able to take this turret. I don't see any way for Taric to stop this one. Yeah, he's going to even have to back out as well if he does not want to get completely caught. He actually almost gets he almost got pulled by that by the Thresh hook. So got to be really careful there. But the Choop in the mid lane pushed to his own turret, kind of stuck on the back foot by that by the Diana. And up at the top, Renekton and Jace, I mean, they are pretty even. Like, as far as all that's been going on, Renekton and Jace are pretty even. There's 134 CS on Renekton to 129 on Jace, which kind of means that the longer that this game goes on, Renekton is going to have an easier time, or Jace is going to have an easier time, because he is going to scale a little bit better as the game goes on. And in fact, he's going to scale a lot better, because Renekton is pretty much all just going to stack health. He's not going to be doing a whole lot of damage. He's really just going to be a tank. What he's going to try to do is get into your back line and stun them out, or use his ultimate to kind of whittle their health down and kind of take the focus for his team. The problem is, though, is that you have someone like Sejuani on IGT's team, and you have like a Jace and a Draven. You've got a lot of poke, and you've got a lot of straight up damage in these fights. I'm Smashface actually taking quite a bit from his fortune. He's gonna have to flash out and be really careful there, as he's down to 400 health. Meanwhile, 4 people from Factset are pushing up this mid lane, and Renekton's just keeping the pressure up there at the top. It looks like they're gonna be able to get this one down. Choop gets hit by the hook from Thresh. They are going to pick up 1 kill, and then the double kill comes out for Diana. Sejuani comes in from behind with her ultimate, trying to land something onto Factset, but there's just not enough damage to back this one up. Renekton's heading down as well. That's 5 people from Factset in that mid lane, and B-Boy Suicide just gets completely zoned out with the fear. Let's see. That's 2 more down from IGT. Viralios is the only one alive, getting out with barely 100 health. And Factset is just barreling down on this turret in the mid lane. Let's see, 5 seconds coming back up for Choop and Smashface, so they are going to take quite a bit of time. It looks like they're going to be able to get this inhibitor turret down. Draven and Jace are still down. I think they're going to be able to get this inhibitor as well. Now, Kennen does have his ultimate. He doesn't quite have his flash, but they might be able to make something happen here. The hook tries to come out. It's not quite in range, and they're just going to have to give up the inhibitor. They can't quite fight it out. I mean, maybe they could have had Sejuani had her ult at that point. Maybe something could have happened there with an ult from Sejuani and then an ult from Kennen. But using the ultimate on the outer turret on this mid lane, just trying to keep it alive, ended up kind of hurting them and putting them behind. Even this Draven getting caught out under his own secondary turret, just close enough for Fiddle to fear him. It was just not a good fight for IGT. It looks like they're sending 4 members mid lane to try to even this one out, trying to push the mid lane up. Instead of going for another lane at this point, they really want to shut down this super minion lane in middle. Diana comes in, trying to get some damage onto Viralios. Tarek turns around, tries to stun Diana, but hits a minion instead as she did back out. Renekton, though, catching out Sejuani almost entirely, and the Thresh hook is not quite able to land on anybody just yet. Meanwhile, Corey Pro did come down from that top lane. Now, it looks like, I mean, it's going to be such a tough game for IGT. All they kind of have to do is last, though, and that's a lot harder than it sounds. But if they can last long enough, they should be able to pull something back into this one. The only really big deal is whether or not that Factset lets them get that far. I mean, even Suja up here at the top lane, getting dived on by this Sejuani and the Jace, has enough health and armor to kind of tank this one back out, but I don't think he has the damage to turn this one around. Viralios is getting pretty low. Suja flashes out, avoids the shock blast. He goes back in on top of Sejuani, but it's just not enough. Corey Pro even tanks a couple of turret shots to keep Sejuani alive, so they're able to pick up a kill up in the top lane. Meanwhile, down at the bottom, they are working their way through Dragon once again. So I mean, that's obviously not something you want to do. You don't want to just say, okay, I'm just going to go die for the team so you guys can go do other stuff. But of course, him being up in that top lane and keeping Sejuani and Jace there allowed for the rest of his team to pick up another dragon once again. It looks like they're pushing down bottom lane pretty hard too. Jace is still up at the top. Sejuani has recalled though, and they're starting to get a lot of damage onto his Smashface, taking a lot of poke there from Diana. She actually goes in full blast onto Tarek, pulls out a kill there as well. The Choop taking quite a bit at the same time. This Diana is really far ahead. I mean, she has 165 CS and 7 kills. So she has her Zonias as well as that needlessly large rod. She's got a lot of poke ability. Meanwhile, down at the bottom lane, they're really pushing this one up. Suja, or Sejuani up in that mid lane, just trying to hold this one off long enough for his team. The problem is that even if he was bottom lane, there's really not a whole lot that IGT can do to hold this one off just yet, as not everyone's completely there and alive. But they were able to hold off the inhibitor and keep this one back into the game. The only really big issue, though, is that with that mid lane inhibitor completely down and with this bottom lane inhibitor open, they're kind of not under control. They're kind of stuck under their own base. And just looking at the ward coverage, I mean, they kind of have a couple of wards in their own bottom side jungle, but Factset has the entire bottom side completely warded out. And you've got Renekton up at the top, just kind of pushing this one up. They've got a lot of pressure into this blue side team. There's really not a whole lot that they can just straight up do. They gotta find some advantage that they can pull somewhere. Now, this is the point in the game, though, where death timers start to make a really big deal. So if they can pick off, one member of Factset, if they can, just get a one-player advantage at that, and then, push onto that one 5v4, they might actually be able to turn something around here. Because when you die at this point in the game, you're down for 30 seconds, 40 seconds. It's a lot of time to deal with, and you can get a lot done in that short amount. But it looks like everyone from Factset was just going back to buy and try to use some of this gold advantage that they have. Suja and Quaker Oats here in this middle lane set up for something, but they are spotted by this ward. They could actually turn this one around, as that is a 5v4 down here in the bottom side jungle, as Thresh is not quite there yet. So if they're careful, they could actually turn this fight around. They've just got to be really safe, though, because if you do get picked off, that is just the Thresh back. It's the support back there. Yeah, it may be 4v5, but at least all the carries are still here from Factset. Diana lands in with a Q on top of Sejuani, but she's able to just kind of tank through this, and they might be able to make something happen here. Thresh is on his way, though. Jace is just trying to poke through this. He actually picked up a phage, and it looks like he could be going for a last whisper next. I don't know. That's a rather interesting build to go through. He doesn't really have the mana he needs, and he doesn't really have the poke he needs just yet. I kind of think that might be kind of the issue. The Chuba actually using his lightning rush to sort of dodge a fight here. It looks like he wanted to try to engage something, but there goes Suja getting completely engaged on top of, but the Choop gets completely focused down. A double kill comes out from Suja. Meanwhile, Diana picks up another kill onto Sejuani. Corey Pro gets feared down by Fiddlesticks, and I think this is gonna be it. They're down for 30 seconds. The mid lane inhibitor is going down. Bottom lane inhibitor is down as well. And I think they're just gonna straight up push onto this Nexus turret. Now, it's 20 seconds though. It's a lot of time that maybe the Choop can stall for them and get themselves back into the game. But it's just really an absolutely one-sided game at this point. 15-4, 44,200 gold, and there goes another kill. And it looks like Factset is going to go on with another win for the After Hours Gaming League. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. My name is InsigmaTheory. You can always catch some more of my content at youtube.com/InsigmaTheory, twitch.tv/InsigmaTheory, or you can just go to the social networking sites like Facebook or Twitter at InsigmaTheory or /InsigmaTheory, and find out where I'll be, like at IPL 6. If you want to catch up with me there, just head on over to Twitter or Facebook, and when IPL 6 comes around, just be like, hey, I'm going to IPL 6, hang out with me, and we'll work something out. But thanks for tuning in once again. I'm InsigmaTheory, and this has been the After Hours Gaming League. I'll see you guys next week.